2020 was a turbulent year, to say the least, and all this time at home to reflect might have you realizing your state kinda sucks. If you've thought about moving states in 2021, then you're not alone. Last year, nearly 16 million Americans packed up and headed out. Here are the top 10 states that Americans are moving to in 2021. Kentucky. Though this state is famous for the Kentucky Derby, given how many Americans are moving here, it might as well be called the U-Haul Derby. Kentucky has affordable housing, even in its biggest cities, and a cost of living well below the national index. The U.S. median listing price per house is $289,000, while Kentucky is well below that at $195,000. That's a ton of extra savings, which you can put towards Kentucky Fried Chicken and bourbon. After all, Kentucky produces 95% of the world's bourbon, and despite the influx of residents, still has more barrels of bourbon than it does people. Alaska. Buying a home is a huge investment, but the real wallet killer is the move, especially if you're heading to a remote location, but not Alaska. This northernmost state will pay you to move there. As part of the state's permanent fund dividend program, full-time Alaskan residents are entitled to receive royalties from the permanent fund's investment earnings. And while the cost of groceries in this state is pretty steep, between the fairly affordable housing and permanent fund, you won't have to decimate your piggy bank. But cheap doesn't equate to boring. From the snowy peaks of Denali National Park to the volcanic Altuvian Islands, you're consistently met with the awe-inspiring beauty of the great outdoors. Dog sledding, hiking, boating, or even just kicking back and watching the northern lights. There is always something to do in this rugged state. It's basically a summer camp. A summer camp that's paying you to show up. Nevada. Las Vegas tends to steal the spotlight when talking about Nevada. Literally, Vegas's Luxor light beam is the strongest in the world. But if there's one thing that isn't a gamble, it's moving to this desert state. Strip aside, Nevada has plenty of alluring qualities. Tech startups are popping up all over the state too, particularly in Reno, which is now home to many notable tech companies, including Tesla. If trading Bitcoin and sharing an elevator with Elon isn't your vibe, not to worry. Nevada has plenty of openings with hands-on fields, including construction and agriculture. The cherry on top of this desert mirage is that Nevada is one of the few states with no income tax. Despite Nevada's not-so-cheap real estate, it's far more affordable than its pricey neighbors. We're looking at you, California. New Mexico. For a state with new in its name, it's pretty Fred Flintstone old. Remains and lodgings from the earliest humans have been found in this region. New Mexico holds the roots of many diverse groups and grapes, as this state is known for some of the oldest cultivated grapevines in the country, which were first smuggled over by the Spanish monks in the 1600s. New Mexico is also home to more UNESCO World Heritage Sites than any other state, and it makes sense that such a historically diverse state would have an equally varied job market, as New Mexico has plenty of opportunities in key industries, including tourism, government, defense, aerospace, and even agriculture. But most of all, New Mexico also loves to celebrate, from the annual Balloon Fiesta to the Alien Festival. Yep, even E.T. is looking at real estate in these parts. District of Columbia. While D.C. may conjure up images of the house, there are plenty of Americans moving here for homes. D.C. is all about making history, and you can learn all about it at any time at one of the city's countless free world-class museums. D.C. also gets to see some of the U.S.'s best free talks, receptions, and film screenings. But even if all of that was not free, if you're still landing a job in America's Rome, paying for a museum and movie tickets won't be an issue. The median household income in Washington, D.C. is about 21% higher than the national average. The truth is, many Americans are heading to the capital, and not just middle schoolers who have rolled in a cheese wagon to hear about Abraham Lincoln. Alabama. It might be high time to call Alabama your sweet home. After all, Forbes had ranked Alabama's largest city, Birmingham, as the most affordable city to live in the U.S. While Birmingham might have gotten a bad rep in the past, it's revamped its downtown city center and is now a thriving cultural epicenter. Outside of Birmingham, Alabama has miles of white sandy beaches, hiking trails, and of course, barbecue. You'll fall for Dreamland's famous hickory smoked ribs harder than Forrest fell for Jedi. Although Alabama used to be the land of cotton, it has since evolved into the peanut state. In fact, the city of Dothan is considered the peanut capital of the world and holds the state's annual peanut festival. Allergic to peanuts? Get your EpiPens out, as this state's one to die for. New Hampshire. In terms of landscape and economy, teeny tiny New Hampshire does pack a massive punch. The northeastern state covers a variety of terrain with everything from beaches and lakes to forests and mountains. But one thing that is consistent everywhere is that there's no sales tax. New Hampshire also has an excellent public school system, consistently ranking in the top 5 states for public schooling. If you got kids, a great education is necessary. That is, if they want to get into one of New Hampshire's prestigious universities, which they'll hopefully get a scholarship for, unless you've got a spare $300,000 lying around. On the bright side, the price of Ivy League tuition is the only robbery that you'll face in the Granite States, as New Hampshire consistently has one of the lowest property crime rates in the country. Maine. There are plenty of reasons to move to Maine besides the lobster. Despite its size, Maine has the 3rd longest shoreline of any state in the country. In fact, Maine has so many deep harbors that it can anchor every Navy fleet in the world. If you haven't gotten your sea legs yet, don't worry about it. Maine has plenty of on-land features too. Acadia National Park offers some of the country's best hiking, biking, and camping. If moving your body isn't your thing, you can always move your mouth, as Maine has a variety of dining options from formal dining to food shacks, which is basically Maine's answer for the food truck. Despite all of these amazing qualities, Maine's population just isn't growing quite as fast as many folks would have thought. This is why, similar to Alaska, Maine has created a campaign called the Visit for a Week, Stay for a Lifetime campaign, which encourages Maine employers to be able to offer vacation reimbursements to various recruited candidates. That being said, Visit for a Week, Stay for a Lifetime is what they also tell the lobsters too. North Carolina, the world's best biscuits and low taxes. What more could you want? North Carolina has mild winters and beautiful natural scenery, including Lake Norman, the Outer Banks, and the Great Smoky Mountains. There's always an adventure to be had. After this one last sweet tea. North Carolina even takes their college sports extremely seriously and brings the same level of competition to their barbecue. Despite Charlotte being the 2nd biggest banking city in the US and the 600 plus golf courses, this state isn't pretentious. North Carolinians maintain a laid-back lifestyle, which is synonymous with pickup trucks, blue jeans, and craft beer. Oh, and there's NASCAR because road rage is undeniably more fun when you're not behind the wheel. Lastly, Idaho. French fries, hash browns, chips, tater tots, all these products have one thing in common: America's favorite vegetable, the potato. Potatoes thrive in Idaho's rich volcanic soil and unique climate. Settle down in Idaho and get ready to flourish like the potato you are. According to census data, Ohio has the 12th highest ownership rate in the US. Nearly 70% of residents are homeowners. Although Idaho has incredibly cold winters, it's not gonna matter when you're cozied up in the home you don't pay a stranger hundreds of dollars a month to live in. Homeownership and delicious carb-based veggies aren't the only perks of this wide open state. Idaho has 2 waterfalls that are higher than Niagara Falls and an abundance of natural resources amongst its scenery, including garnet, jasper, opal, and topaz, earning it the nickname the Gem State. But the real gem of this state's Aaron Paul. Jesse Pinkman never moved to Alaska. He settled down with his young family in Idaho and could be your new neighbor. So, what did you think of our list? Did your state make it? Are there any states that we may have missed that you think are worth moving to? Let us know in the comment section down below, and while you're at it, check out our other video, the top 10 states Americans are leaving.